The last few weeks have felt like a strange mix of promise and frustration for this team, especially when you zoom in on how the offense has behaved from kickoff to the final whistle. There is a clear pattern developing, and it is impossible to ignore early in games. Everything looks sharp, the tempo is there, the play selection feels confident, and the scoreboard starts to move in a way that reminds everyone why expectations were so high coming into the season. Scoring 21 or 24 points before halftime is not accidental, and it does not happen without preparation, talent, and execution. The problem is what happens after that early surge, when adjustments are made on the other sideline, and the Cowboys suddenly look like a different unit altogether as games drag into the second half. The offense seems to lose its edge. Drives that once felt effortless start to stall, the rhythm disappears, and what was once a balanced, aggressive approach becomes predictable and conservative. This is not just about failing to score touchdowns, it is about failing to control the game. There have been performances where the ground attack piled up massive yardage, even crossing the 200-yard mark. Yet the dominance never translated into a knockout blow when you can run the ball that effectively. The expectation is that the opposing defense breaks, both physically and mentally. Instead, the door has been left open time and time again, allowing opponents to hang around far longer than they should. That issue becomes even more glaring when the opponent is a team that, on paper, should not be dictating terms. Games against squads like Washington are supposed to be statements. They are supposed to be moments where a strong team flexes its superiority and puts up numbers that remove all doubt. When that does not happen, it raises uncomfortable questions. Is it play calling that becomes too cautious? Is it execution breaking down under pressure? Or is there a subtle sense of comfort once an early lead is built, as if the hardest part of the job is already done? Whatever the answer, the result is the same. And it shows up clearly in the second half struggles that continue to define this stretch of the season. The defensive side of the ball only amplifies that frustration. Allowing an opponent like Washington to score 23 points is not something that aligns with the standards this team claims to uphold. Too often, defensive lapses erase the work done by the offense, forcing the game back into a tense one-possession battle. Explosive plays have been a recurring theme, whether through missed tackles, blown coverages, or a lack of discipline in key moments. Even when the defense manages to string together solid series, it only takes one breakdown to undo it all. That inconsistency puts constant pressure on the offense to be nearly perfect, and that is not a sustainable formula over the course of a full season. Dak Prescott's performance sits right at the center of this conversation. From an efficiency standpoint, he has been among the best when it comes to handling pressure and avoiding sacks relative to the heat he faces. That speaks to his awareness and experience. At the same time, there are moments where he holds onto the ball just a beat too long or absorbs hits that could have been avoided. Some of that falls on protection issues, especially with the offensive line constantly shifting due to injuries and experimentation. The right tackle position, in particular, has been a revolving door, and that lack of stability shows up when pass rushers start winning. Late in games, players have been moved around to patch holes, and there have been stretches where individuals stepped up admirably. But offensive line play is about cohesion as much as talent, and that cohesion has been inconsistent. The left tackle spot remains unsettled, and every weakness along the line becomes magnified when defenses adjust in the second half. Even with a productive running game, the passing attack can lose its bite when protection breaks down or timing routes are disrupted. The pieces are there, but they have not always fit together when it matters most. All of this places the Cowboys in an awkward position within the broader landscape of the season. The record does not bury them, but it does not inspire confidence either. They are stuck in a middle ground where every result carries extra weight. Winning keeps hope alive and maintains locker room belief, while losses introduce uncomfortable conversations about future planning. No one inside the building is aiming to lose games, but the reality of the league means that outcomes influence draft positioning and long-term strategy. Whether anyone likes it or not, right now, the team is hovering around a middle first-round draft spot, and that reality looms quietly in the background of every performance. Despite that, the focus on the field remains execution and development. Individual performances continue to offer reasons for optimism. Certain playmakers have proven their value and shown they can be foundational pieces moving forward. The passing game has benefited from reliable targets who can stretch the field and create separation. And giving the offense an added dimension when things are clicking. Retaining that kind of talent is essential for continuity, especially when the rest of the unit is still searching for consistency. At the same time, the defense faces harder questions about identity and direction, particularly when it comes to limiting big plays and responding once momentum starts to swing. The game against Washington served as a perfect snapshot of these conflicting realities. The rushing attack was dominant, piling up over 100 yards on the ground through sheer physicality and persistence. The passing game added nearly 170 yards, moving the ball effectively between the 20s. On paper, those numbers scream offensive success. In practice, they tell a more complicated story. Drives stalled at critical moments. Red zone opportunities did not consistently turn into touchdowns, and the scoreboard never reflected the level of control the Cowboys appeared to have. That disconnect between production and points is one of the most troubling trends to emerge. When an offense can move the ball that well but fails to finish, it points toward issues beyond raw ability. Situational awareness, timing, and decision-making become the focus. Red zone execution, in particular, remains an area where improvement is desperately needed. Defenses tighten up in that space, windows shrink, and mistakes are punished immediately. Whether it is a missed assignment, a breakdown in protection, or a misread under pressure, those moments define games far more than total yardage ever will. Until those issues are corrected, even dominant stretches will continue to feel incomplete. Looking ahead, the choices facing the organization are becoming clearer with each passing week. The offensive line will demand serious attention once the season ends, especially at tackle. Temporary solutions can only carry a team so far, and long-term answers are required if the offense is going to reach its ceiling. At the same time, maintaining continuity with core skill players will be vital. The balance between rebuilding weak spots and preserving strengths will shape how competitive this team can be next season. On defense, the need for improvement is even more urgent, as repeated breakdowns have erased too many positive moments and kept games closer than they ever should have been. Even as the season winds down, every snap continues to matter, not just for the win-loss column, but for evaluating depth, identifying future contributors, and understanding where adjustments are needed. The Cowboys have shown they can dominate early, impose their will on the ground, and move the ball through the air with confidence. The challenge now is sustaining that level of play from start to finish, regardless of opponent or circumstance. That ongoing struggle defines this phase of the season and sets the stage for difficult but necessary decisions that are fast approaching. As the evaluation of this roster continues, the conversation naturally shifts from what is happening on Sundays to what all of this means moving forward. The remaining games are no longer just about chasing wins, but about understanding who truly belongs in the long-term vision of this team. Every snap becomes a measuring stick, especially for players filling in due to injuries or rotating into larger roles. The Cowboys are learning, sometimes the hard way, that depth and adaptability matter just as much as star power. When injuries strike along the offensive line or in the secondary, the margin for error shrinks quickly, and weaknesses that might have been hidden earlier in the season are suddenly impossible to ignore. The offensive line remains the most pressing concern in that regard. There have been moments where the unit looks capable of controlling the line of scrimmage, opening up lanes in the run game and giving Dak Prescott time to operate. But those moments are not consistent enough. As defenses adjust and begin attacking protection schemes more aggressively in the second half, cracks start to form. Edge pressure becomes harder to manage, interior stunts cause confusion, and the timing of the passing game suffers as a result. Even a quarterback as experienced as Prescott can only compensate for so much before the cumulative effect shows up in stalled drives and missed opportunities. Prescott himself remains a steady presence, but his performance highlights the fine balance this offense walks every week. He is efficient, poised, and capable of elevating the players around him. Yet the offense still relies heavily on him to overcome structural issues. When protection breaks down, he is forced to extend plays or take hits that add up over the course of a season. That kind of burden is not sustainable if the team has serious postseason aspiration. Improving the environment around the quarterback is not a luxury. It is a necessity. And that reality is becoming clearer with every passing game where early success fades into late frustration. The skill position group offers a more encouraging outlook. Even if it is not without its own questions, playmakers have stepped up and proven they can be relied upon in high-leverage moments. The ability to stretch the field vertically has kept defenses honest, and prevented them from fully committing to stopping the run. That balance is critical. And when it is present, the offense looks dangerous. However, consistency remains the missing ingredient. Too often, explosive plays are followed by penalties, negative runs, or miscommunications that halt momentum. Those self-inflicted wounds have been just as damaging as anything opponents have done schematically. On the defensive side, the issues feel deeper and more systemic. It is not just one position group or one player struggling, but a combination of factors that repeatedly lead to the same outcome. Big plays continue to haunt this unit, whether through missed assignments in coverage or a failure to contain the edge against the run. There are stretches where the defense looks disciplined and aggressive, forcing third downs and getting off the field. Then, without warning, a single lapse turns into a long touchdown that flips the momentum of the game. That volatility makes it incredibly difficult for the team to put games away. No matter how well the offense starts, the linebacker level has been particularly inconsistent, struggling at times with both run fits and coverage responsibilities. When linebackers are slow to diagnose plays or take poor angles, offenses exploit those mistakes quickly. The secondary, meanwhile, has had to compensate, often leaving defensive backs in impossible situations. This lack of cohesion points to a larger issue with communication and adjustments, especially as games progress. Opposing offenses are finding ways to identify tendencies and attack them late, and the Cowboys have not always responded effectively. All of this feeds into a growing conversation about coaching and scheme. Preparation has not been the problem, as the team frequently starts games with a clear plan and strong execution. The challenge lies in adaptation. Once opponents counter those initial looks, the Cowboys have struggled to stay one step ahead. This is true on both sides of the ball, but it is especially noticeable defensively in a league built on adjustments. Failing to evolve over the course of a game can turn manageable matchups into unnecessary battles. Special teams, while not always at the forefront of discussion, have also played a subtle role in shaping outcomes. Field position swings, coverage lapses, and missed opportunities can quietly shift momentum without drawing the same attention as offensive or defensive breakdowns in close games. Those moments matter. Cleaning up details in this phase could alleviate pressure elsewhere, but it requires the same level of accountability and evaluation as the more visible units. As the season progresses, draft positioning becomes an unavoidable backdrop. Sitting in the middle of the standings places the Cowboys in a position where each result slightly reshapes their future options. A win might feel good in the moment, but it could also mean missing out on a higher pick that addresses a glaring need. A loss brings frustration, but also clarity about where reinforcements are required. The organization must navigate that tension carefully, staying competitive while keeping a clear eye on the bigger picture. The upcoming draft represents an opportunity to inject youth and athleticism into key areas, particularly along the defensive front and the offensive line. Before we roll on, subscribe to Cowboys Wire News, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Your support keeps the Dallas Cowboys updates coming. Tell us what you think in the comments. In what could be one of the most explosive locker room stories of the season, whispers are circulating that Dallas Cowboys quarterback DAK Prescott may be on the verge of a dramatic showdown with the team hierarchy. According to insiders, Prescott allegedly declared, "If he comes back, I'm out of this team," a statement that has sent shockwaves through both the fanbase and the sports media. The cryptic warning has fueled speculation about who the unnamed figure might be, with guesses ranging from a former quarterback making a return, a high-profile free agent, or even a controversial team executive whose presence could shake up the locker room dynamics. The tension stems from Prescott's history as a fiercely competitive leader, known for his willingness to stand up for his teammates and his own role in the offense. If this warning is anything to go by, it suggests that Prescott sees this potential return not just as a threat to his starting position, but as a disruption to the culture he has worked hard to foster. While team officials have remained tight-lipped, sources suggest that the atmosphere around the Cowboys facilities has been unusually tense, with players reportedly taking sides and internal meetings growing increasingly private. Fans have taken to social media in droves, analyzing every nuance of Prescott's statement and speculating on the identity of the individual in question. Some suggest it could be a veteran quarterback attempting a comeback, while others point to off-field dynamics, perhaps a coach or executive whose return could clash with Prescott's leadership. The uncertainty has sparked debates across sports networks, with analysts weighing the possible fallout. Could the Cowboys risk losing one of their star quarterbacks? Or would management reconsider any high-profile acquisitions to maintain locker room harmony? Whatever the truth may be, one thing is clear: Prescott's warning has added a new layer of intrigue to the Cowboys season. As speculation grows, the question on everyone's mind remains, who is the mysterious figure? And will Prescott follow through on his bold declaration? For now, the team is navigating a delicate balance between preserving talent and managing egos, with the potential for one of the most talked about off-field stories in recent NFL history. That's a wrap from Cowboys Wire News. For breaking Cowboys updates, subscribe, drop a like, and turn on the bell. Tell us your take in the comments.